Welcome to the January 14th APW committee meeting. We have a quorum. May we have a approval of the meeting minutes from December 10th?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. A1, payroll, November 26th through December 9th, $2,848,105.59. Payroll December 10th through December 23rd, $2,820,497.88 is for action. A2, bills list January 15th, $7,148,620.89. Bills list for January 15th, fiscal year 19 is $68,935.46.
I'd like to discuss something on there, please.
Okay.
Which item was that?
A2, specifically
bills list.
fiscal year 19, Alderman Fleming?
It's page 69. That's the bills list, period ending. Sorry, my little font is really small here. Yeah, it's period.
Is everyone? You might want to-
Period. Sorry, period ending 1/5/2019.
No, you want to wait.
Okay. BMO credit card activity period ending September 26, 2018 without Amazon, $183,655.02. It's for action. A5, excuse me?
I was just asking if everyone looked at the bills list.
Okay, thank you. A5, staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to amend an existing engineering service contract for the Fountain Square renovation project with Christopher B. Burke Engineering in the amount of $16,618.45. This will modify the existing agreement amount from $1,049,412.79 to $1,066,031.24. Funding is available through the Water Fund Capital Improvement Programs for action. A6, staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute change order number 1 to the Church Street Harbor renovation contract with Covalet Construction Company in the amount of $25,440 and providing a time extension of 140 days. This change order will increase the overall contract amount from $891,000 to $916,440. And will change the date of substantial completion from December 14, 2018 to April 30th, 2019. Funding for the change order will be provided from the general fund, which has a budget of $36,000, all of which is remaining is for action. A7, staff recommends that City Council authorize the city manager to execute change order number 3 to the contract for a 2018 50/50 sidewalk replacement project with Schroeder & Schroeder Incorporated in the amount of $4,938.40. This change order will increase the final contract amount from $237,877 to $242,815.40. Funding will be provided from the Capital Improvement Program 2018 General Obligation Bonds for traffic calming, bicycle, and pedestrian improvements. The line item has a fiscal year 2018 budget of $300,000, of which $45,261.30 is remaining is for action. A8, staff recommends City Council authorize City Manager to approve change order number 1 to the agreement with Infrastructure Management Services, LLC, that will extend the existing contract completion deadline from December 21st, 2018 to February 28, 2019. There is no cost associated with the change orders for action. A9, staff recommends that City Council authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with Safe Build Incorporated for supplemental plan review and inspection services from April 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2021 with 3-year options to renew. Funding will be from the Building Inspection Services, Plan Review Services Fund with a fiscal year 2019 budget of $75,000. The hourly rate for Building Inspection Services will increase from $72.50 in 2018 to $73, while the rate for planning for Building Plan Review Services will decrease from $84.75 in 2018 to $74, with future annual increases based upon the consumer price indexes for action. A10, staff recommends City Council authorize City Manager to approve a one-year single-source renewal with Motorola Incorporated for services and maintenance at the 911 Center in the amount of $80,262.91. Funding will be provided from the Emergency Telephone System Fund with a budget of $89,000. It's for action. A11, staff is requesting the City Manager to approve funding for the demolition of a long and neglected property that was once located at 1729 Dodge Avenue. The demolition was completed by MBR Wrecking Incorporated on November 14, 2018, and the cost was $28,691. Funds will be provided through the Illinois Vacant Expense Fund with grants provided by the Abandoned Residential Property Municipal Relief Grant from the Illinois Housing Development Authority. Is for action. A12, staff recommends City Council adopt Resolution 4R19, adopting an amended City of Evanston sexual harassment policy that conforms to the Public Act 100-1060, which expanded the time to file charges for discrimination with the Illinois Department of Human Rights from 180 days to 300 days. Is for action. A13, staff recommends adoption of Resolution 1R19, authorizing the City Manager to negotiate and execute a temporary construction easement agreement with Fifth Third Bank for access, drive improvements, sidewalk work, and related road work on private property as part of the Main Street Corridor Improvement Project. It's for action. A14, staff recommends adoption of Resolution 5R19, authorizing the City Manager to negotiate and execute a temporary construction easement agreement with Capsun Properties LLC for access, drive improvement, sidewalk, and related road work on private property as part of the Main Street Corridor Improvement Projects. For action. A15, if we could have Mr. James Engelman come up. He has a public comment. Thank you for being here, James.
You're welcome. Anytime. A15, which you guys read, Pat, the ordinance for so the people who are handicapped could park, because there's no parking spaces, and we need more spaces to park. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. A18, the Transportation Park. A15, thank you. A15, the Transportation Parking Committee recommends City Council adopt Ordinance 163-018, amending portions of the City Code Section 1011-7A, passenger loading zones, to amend the loading zone on Simpson Street. This is for introduction. A16, the Transportation Parking Committee recommends City Council adopt Ordinance 164-018, amending a portion of City Code Section 1011-7D, taxi cab stands or zones, to remove taxi cab stands on Howard Street. This is for introduction. Alderman Rainey?
I'm not sure how this works in this. Now that we have consent agenda, should I just take this off and speak to it later, or
Yes.
or now? What?
I think we take it off now.
Okay.
Yes?
And not speak to it now. Speak to it later.
Speak to it later.
Okay.
Yes. A17, the Transportation Parking Committee recommends City Council adopt Ordinance 8019, amending City Code Section 1013, definitions to permit certain trucks used as a passenger vehicle to park in residential areas. This is for introduction. Going to remove it? Thank you. A18, staff recommends adoption of Ordinance 162-018, amending portions of City Code Section 726D, Sidewalk cafes to modify permit fees and approval procedures. Staff proposes sidewalk cafe permit applications to require the approval of the Design and Project Review Committee, with exception of requests for City Council to permit the consumption or sale of alcohol on sidewalk cafe premises. Sidewalk cafe permit fees will increase to align with costs of administering the program and use of the surrounding public ways for introduction. And we're going to remove this for discussion.
No, just, yeah. It is for introduction. I just want to get a.
Yes, it's for
Thank you.
introduction. Motion to approve the consent agenda? All in favor? Oh, I didn't get a second. I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Fleming. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Alderman Fleming, A2 bills list.
Yes, I had a question for the bills list. It's on page 1. Well, sorry, it's not on page 1. It's on page 68, I think, of the packet. And it has to do with monies from the general fund, and there were 4 charges here for Cook County State's Attorney vehicle seizure. And so I was interested in what those were, and I talked to the legal department and realized it's that we, under Illinois law, have the option of seizing vehicles for people who, were driving. Well, they're driving without a license and such. So, I'll approve it because it's already happened, but I would like to place this on an agenda for further discussion. And looking at the state ordinance, and the legal counsel can help me, it looks like it's a state law we have the option of participating in. And as you look at national news and such, I'm just more concerned with how we are fining people and how we are penalizing people with cost. And so this law allows us to take your vehicle if you're caught driving for a number of reasons in violation. And I would just like us to think about if there's another way we can have people conform with the law, but maybe not take their vehicle. I'm thinking if you're driving without a license for some reason, you might need a vehicle to get to work. And there's a number of things I'm concerned that this has a snowball effect on. And I don't know if seizing the vehicle and selling it and splitting the money with the county is the best way to have people fall into compliance. So, Mario, if you can just kind of tell us what the rule is, since I'm not an attorney.
Yes, Madam Chair and honorable members of the Administration and Public Works Committee. Alderman Fleming is correct in saying that the state statute is permissive in allowing the seizure of vehicles after being arrested for perhaps driving without a license or anything like that. It's permissive, it's not mandatory, so that's something that I can definitely work with staff, and we can look into the more of the numbers, looking at what we've done historically, and then we can also work to achieve any sort of future accomplishments that you want with respect to the seizure of vehicles.
Okay, so I'm going to approve it. It's already happened. It's not a practice I'm trying to stop mid-cycle, but I would like to have a further understanding and discussion of how often we use it and what the ramifications are for citizens.
That, and also if you can include what's the standard of, since it's to our discretion, is there a particular infraction, or what is the standard in which we exercise that extreme authority?
I will work with the police department and look at the standards that we've implemented before.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey?
Well, also, I'd like to know, if we're going to look into this, do we have to do it either or? Couldn't we, for example, if a person, hasn't paid a bunch of tickets, okay, let's not take away his car. I don't know that we do that. If he's been driving without a license because it's been suspended 10 times because he's a drunk, I don't think I want to give him back his car. In fact, I'd like to take it away from him. If he's driving with a carload of guns, I don't think I want to give him back his car. If he's driving with a carload of drugs that he's been selling to people, I don't think I want. So, those are the reason I always ask. I'm the person who always asks for the details on these seizures, is because usually it's always drug seizures, gun seizures, those kinds of arrests. I've rarely seen it, only because the person didn't have a license. So I'd like to not have to decide one way or another for all those cases. In other words, can we be flexible on each and every case? I mean, there must be a whole list of reasons why we can confiscate, seize a car. Can we do it one time and not the other time? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Alderman Rainey, I will report back with respect to what reasonings, what particular violations result in the seizing of a car.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Jeez.
Dave, I just have a quick question regarding number 13. I don't know, did someone behind the dais ask this question about the bike racks?
What?
The bike racks is question number
I
13 on
did,
page
because I can't believe it's $80 for 120 bike racks or
That's what I was trying to figure out, and I remember
Explanation
years
is
ago,
inadequate. Yeah.
we had a bunch of them somewhere in the basement, so
Yeah,
did you,
Well, and I asked a similar question at
that's going to be.
maybe 2 months ago about bike racks. We made a large purchase of them. There was a more thorough answer last time. I don't remember what it
This
was,
time,
but
all these bike racks are costing $80. That can't be possible.
that's what I'm saying, and so
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what happened to this is one of those weird things,
Can we have a
yeah.
explanation regarding the bike racks?
Laura Biggs.
So there are some concerns or some questions about a considerable amount of bike racks, and the expense was $80. Could you give us any details on that?
So whoever asked the question, I guess you'll go and then I'll follow up.
I asked.
Okay, go ahead and I'll follow up. Thank you.
It is,
The Public Works Director would know.
I thought he would, yeah. You knew this.
Dave, I know that there was a period of time where we had bike racks that were not deployed. I believe that largely those have been deployed.
Yes.
And so we are, I think, constantly looking at opportunities to deploy additional racks. There are functionality issues, there are aesthetic issues. Every neighborhood, every business district
Page
is a little bit
6.
different.
Right, and I think the question is how did we get all this equipment for only $81? And that's what I would have to research, because this is to restock our inventory, so we can put bike racks out, and I would have to check as to why this cost is so low. And I'll try to get you that answer before the council meeting.
That was the answer I was looking for.
And so, and prior to that, we had, I don't know if it was several years ago, we had quite a few racks that were in a storage someplace. So all those have been distributed around the city? Is that why
Yes.
we have these? Okay.
And this is to replenish our stock. We actually have very few parts now available to put new bike racks out, and that's why we're ordering this.
Okay.
Alderman Fleming?
I'm sorry, in reviewing the bills list, I have one more question. It's number 10 on our question list about cultural arts programs. So is this read correctly? We have a consultant who we pay to book the performers for the Starlight Concert Series?
Yes, and so the response was that I think it was $1,100, $1,200 up front, and then the balance is paid at the conclusion of the engagement, so.
Right, so it's $2,250 total. So is there a reason we don't have just a park staff who can do that?
I think over time we figured that is the better use of time, having someone who understands the various acts that are around Greater Chicagoland, and so it's more efficient to do it that way than to have a staff member who's not as well apprised of that. So I don't see anyone else from Parks and Rec here, so we'd be happy to give you additional information, but we book 12, 18 of these over the course of the summer. I think it's a matter of scheduling. There's only a finite number of these bands, entertainers available over the course of the summer. I think it's been useful, and again, we'd be happy to bring additional information back. But I don't think this is something brand new.
Alderman Braithwaite?
This, I was going to ask either director, but since you're up there, vital records status report on that. I had a resident this weekend said that she wasn't able to get it last week.
And we are still not able to do that with the change in administration today. It's our hope that we'll be able to resolve this shortly. So I would think in the next 30, 45 days, Alderman Sufferton and I spoke about this this afternoon. I think
You're on it.
He's going to help with members of the Evanston State House delegation to, there's not a director of public health, at least as of noontime there was not.
You're on it?
So we will
Okay.
we will arrange the appropriate meeting. And my guess, Alderman Sufferton, we had said earlier 30, 45 days, so we should have the issue resolved then. Anything else, Madam Chair?
Nothing else, thank you.
I asked for a follow-up on 2 questions I asked, but I don't know
What-
if they came by email or what. I'm on the fire department and the retirement answer from Amazon. There's no way I could understand that.
What that you were the
Can you speak in your mic,
the
Alderman Rainey?
answer didn't satisfy you, or we didn't get an answer?
No, we got an answer, but I have no idea what, I couldn't understand it. It's over.
If I may, Madam
Yeah, please.
Madam Chair, Alderman Rainey, I believe the answer reflects that it's not a general use of general fund dollars to purchase those kind of retirement mementos, and so I think that that was the issue. That
It's a memento?
I believe it was a box of some sort. Again, I apologize, I don't have anything in front of me. But
See, Chief Scott's behind you.
Chief Scott's right here.
I didn't see that word in the thing.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, good evening, Fire Chief Brian Scott. That particular purchase, I believe, was for $94.99.
Not the amount. I just didn't
Oh.
understand the purchase.
So it was a presentation case for
Okay.
the retirement of Captain
All
Pat
right.
Novak.
Okay, no big deal.
Okay.
Then the other one was Pierce Consulting. I asked a question, membership dues, grant writing, CMOs, city clerks, PayPal, Pierce Consulting, about $500+. And I said, please explain, and I was told it was grant writing service for the clerk's office. That was pretty clear in the purchase, but I just couldn't figure out what, and I asked who, what, where, what grant writing.
And Madam Chair, members of the committee, as you know, the city clerk is allocated a budget by the city council and then spends those dollars as he sees fit. So he has seen fit over the last several months to have a retainer with a grant writing company to write grants. And so that retainer is being charged to a credit card, a PayPal payment.
I understand
And
that.
I don't know to what grants he is applying.
Okay, all right. I would like to
There is no
follow up.
budget in the city clerk's budget for grant writers. Again, the clerk has chosen to spend the dollars that is allocated by the city council as he sees fit.
Okay, but if we could send a memo to, I mean, should I do it myself?
No, you shouldn't have to.
Are you asking for?
To find out what kind of grants?
No,
are being
I'm
written?
on your same page. My follow-up question is like, who pays it and who releases the funds? Like, I get he
It's in
has
his
it.
budget.
Right.
All I want to know is what kind of grants are being written.
That I understand.
Can we
So
just
my-
get a report?
I will ask the city clerk for a report.
But
Thank you.
I guess my question is, are they paid? Who releases the dollars? Because it would make sense just to see what the invoice says. Wouldn't that tell you what the grants were for?
It is charged to a credit card.
It's charged to a credit card. You answered my, sorry, that answers the damn question.
So there is no invoicing. I've seen the paperwork on the clerk's credit card, so that's the only reason I'm able to speak to it as much as I am this evening.
So council gives and council can takes away.
That's my understanding is, well, the fact is that the city council allocates a budget to the city clerk, and the council has the ability to adjust that budget.
But I want to know how much he's getting in grant money.
I get it.
So that we can take a look at that in the budget. I mean,
Yeah.
that's.
So if you could
important.
ask for a report from the
I
clerk's
will.
office on what grants, which were successful, if it's worth the investment.
I will ask the question and we'll respond, ask him to respond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, Alderman Braithwaite, did you have anything else?
No, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions on the bills list? Is for action. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. A16, Alderman Rainey.
Let's see, A16. Ordinance 164-018, amending the city code 1011-7D, taxi cab stands or zones to remove the taxi cab stand on Howard Street in the, I think it's probably beyond the 300 block of Howard Street. I move approval.
Second.
Okay. The reason I asked this be removed from the consent agenda is because this was taken to the Parking and Transportation Committee months ago. And things kept coming up, and holidays, and Christmas, and Thanksgiving, and New Year's, and now it's finally here. And so on the one hand, I would like to ask for a suspension on the rules. On the other hand, I would like to explain that these are really all Chicago taxi cabs, and there is absolutely no parking on the Evanston side of Howard Street in the 300 and 400 blocks of Howard. However, immediately across the street in Chicago, it is all parking, solid parking, and frequently there are spaces, and Chicago could easily provide for these taxi cab spaces. And also, right around the corner is the transportation center, the Howard Street L station, and the bus terminal. When the buses come out from the bus station there and turn the corner, frequently those cabs are parked up and the buses are tooting and the cars are backed up coming east on Howard Street, and it is a real mess. So, and also I will tell you that even though they've been asked nicely, sometimes the drivers who spend most of the day parked there, and when the weather is warm, visiting there, and nobody has been nicer to the drivers than the city of Evanston. We've relieved them of all of their license fees, et cetera, to make them equal to the Uber people. And this council has been very, very good about that, and so is our staff. And but they've made a big mess there. So anyway, all we're asking is that, you know, that this taxi stand be removed and that they go to the other side of the street, and I will communicate with Chicago to get them over there. There won't be any problem. And it's been a long time in coming. I think at least 3 months. It's been on some agenda in the city. So I request that we do that. I think it's 3 spaces.
Okay. So, all in favor? I mean,
You need a second on the motion to.
I
suspend
second
the
it.
rules.
Oh, second.
And also, what's going to come after this, engineering was supposed to be working on this since this was, since I requested this, is loading zones so that if a cab does need to come, there will be a place for 2 loading zones for them to be able to pick up and drop off. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This- Yes.
Yes,
the
I
motion is to
second
suspend
that.
the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And now you need a motion to pass it.
Okay.
Suspend the
What?
rules.
We just voted on it, no?
You-
I got a
You voted
second.
on the suspension of the rules, so
Mhm.
that's done. Now you need to act on the actual, so it's
So we need we need a motion.
I move that we introduce, suspend the rules, and take action.
That's what I thought we did. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. A17, Alderman
Okay.
Rainey.
Yes, ordinance 8019, amending the city code, section 1013, to permit certain trucks used as a passenger vehicle to park in residential areas. I move approval, and I'd like to speak to this.
Second.
Okay. Same thing with this. In fact, I think this has been there longer, maybe. Several people have contacted me who live in the south end of town in EVS districts where you have to have wheel tax paid in order to park in a district. And then also in those areas, there are passenger vehicle only signs on the street. So, they park their truck there, their little pickups, and they get tickets because they're not a passenger vehicle. So I started looking online, doing some research, and I saw the first thing that came up was New York. And New York has passed a statewide thing about making certain trucks that do not have writing, that do not have, equipment, lawnmowers and things in the back, passenger vehicles, because many families now with these four-door pickups are using them for family vehicles. They're very utilitarian and they serve them well. So I went to Jill Valen and I suggested this and talked to Erica Storley, and they both thought it was a good idea. And the other day on national news, some community, I don't know where, in some other state, did this, and they made national news. They made passenger vehicles, trucks, passenger vehicles. Nothing else changes other than they become passenger vehicles. They still pay the truck price for their vehicle stickers or their license plates. Nothing else changes. They just have to comply with really being used as a passenger vehicle. They can't have writing. They can't, they can't be daddy's carpenter truck or plumbing truck during the day. They really have to be a passenger vehicle. So that's my motion.
I second it.
So to suspend the rules for information.
And I move to suspend the rules also and take action tonight.
I second that.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. A18, Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Who's this? Johanna, is this one yours? So, thank you. So a while ago, one of the businesses in my ward was teetering whether or not to do the outside sidewalk, and I recall him talking about the process and the price. So, I didn't really think about it until I looked at the packet again and what you're proposing. And I don't know if anyone else is paying attention to this. Is on page 216. The revenue jump, particularly for like a type 2 restaurant or type 1. So I just want to make sure I'm reading the fees properly. So I feel like I'm missing something here. And whereas it was 15,000 for type 1, I can't be, what am I missing? On page 216. When I look at the fee schedule.
Right. So that's revenue.
That's revenue. That's what I was trying to.
That's revenue.
So that's the sum of all, not just.
Correct. So
Thank
that's
you
if you
very much.
type 1, if you go up to the previous page, that's the proposed sidewalk fee schedule.
That's what I thought. Okay.
That's
Thank
the
you.
proposed.
Now I'm doing the math properly. So the extra $2 is what's generating that across the.
Well, we've increased the permit type by, I believe, $50. If you give me a second, I can scroll to that spot. As well as I think we've increased outdoor storage as well.
That's what I saw.
By a little bit.
And then the reason why we're taking it through Dapper, I guess I didn't really pay attention to the last process, and I'm trying to understand where the changes come in.
So at the Rules Committee in October, there was a reference to, I believe that the council didn't want to have the onesie-twosie sidewalk cafes, and so there was an interest in going to a more of an administrative process where the alderman of the ward would still be notified and
Right.
would be able to weigh in, and that we would establish a process similar to the sign review process for variances that goes through Dapper now.
Okay.
So we didn't bring anything back right away since nobody was putting up a sidewalk cafe in November, but
Right.
it's a new year,
Sure.
new time to dine outside in the spring. So we're here tonight to talk about it.
Okay. Now it makes sense. Thank you.
Any further discussion? We need a motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Items for consideration. A3, BMO Amazon credit card activity, period ending September 26, 2018, in the amount of $5,837.31. It's for action.
Second.
Approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes with Alderman Suffredin abstaining. A4, we have Janad.
I need to see him.
He was here.
I didn't see him.
Mr. Risky, Janad, are you? Okay, we're going to move on. A4, staff recommends that City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract for Chandler roofing restoration with Garland DBS Incorporated in the amount of $214,073. Funding for this work will be from the Capital Improvement Fund 2019 general obligation bonds, which has a budget of $225,000, all of which is remaining. This is for action.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. A19, staff recommends adoption of Ordinance 5019, authorizing the city manager to negotiate the sale of city-owned property at 1729 Dodge Avenue to Evanston Township High School in conformance with the terms of the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Evanston and Evanston Township High School for the geometry and construction class. A 2/3 majority vote for City Council is required to adopt Ordinance 5019. City Manager requests suspension of the rules for introduction and action at the January 14, 2019 City Council meetings for introduction and action.
Second.
All in favor?
Bye. Here he comes.
Oh, do we need to go back to that? We passed it.
Your prerogative.
So all in favor for A19?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Risky, we called you for A4. If you wanted to come for a comment, it has been,
Only 21 I thought I put down. It's not on the agenda. Actually, would be a comment about that.
what is it?
It's about the recycling center. I think it's not on the agenda.
No,
I don't know.
it's not on this agenda.
Council.
We'll speak to it because it's part of it's a P&W item on the council agenda. So if you want to put me in at a later point, I'm between another meeting and another room.
So we're about to adjourn. So do you have a comment?
Right. I'll make
Please.
my comments real quick. You probably received my email. I'll just outline those points again. $1 million is not an adequate price for this piece of property. The taxes you're going to get from this are not adequate. The other issue that Mr. Bobkowitz and staff did not put in here is the cost of the parking they want to build next to this, which is part of that project. It's clearly shown in the drawings. That was about $800,000 to $1 million, and he didn't present that. So that's really a cost that you're going to bear with this project that hasn't been accounted for in what he sells you. So you're approving something that's incomplete. Once again, this is what I keep getting at. You're not getting the full story. You're not getting the full numbers. And you will prove that the next year when you have a budget crisis, which we all know we're going to have a budget crisis, you'll be looking for $1 million in capital that you've approved. So you need to ask where that is and what's going on here. And and finally, the other issue about this whole thing, and nobody answers this, I keep asking, city staff has used this for storage. Where's all that other storage going? It's $100 a square foot probably to build a warehouse. And you're not, that's 18,000 square feet. So that's over $1 million you're getting for the building. So think about all this as you waste our money and allow him to do things that I think are just not in our interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess, for the committee, and I don't know if we handle it here. Well, I hope that we handle it here versus on the council level. I'm curious about the grants that the clerk's pursuing. I think that's conceptually, it's a great idea. I'm just asking questions to our committee in terms of who supervises those grants and what. I would hope that the grant would just be restricted to his staff, but just to have a better global understanding. So I guess I'm leaning to the wisdom of the committee to provide some direction.
I'm expecting a report at our request that we asked for details on what grants he's pursuing
Okay.
and what grants have been successfully awarded,
If any.
if any. So I expect that we'll get that report at our next meeting. Does that satisfy you?
Yeah, I thank you for that, and I think it should probably come directly from the clerk's office versus our city manager staff. That way we can ask them our questions directly.
Perfect. So city manager, is that clear that we'd like the report from Clerk Reed?
Let me read you the email I sent Tim a couple minutes ago.
Thank you.
The Administration of Public Works has asked for a report on your office's use of a grant writing consultant. Please report on details on agreement and grants submitted and/or received.
And maybe we should invite the consultant to the committee meeting, just in case there are questions that he can't answer,
Okay.
as long as he's local and there's no charge for him to be here.
And I don't know where this individual is being
I got
paid
you.
for by PayPal, so I don't know.
I got you. I saw that, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will send him an amended email.
Thank you. Thank
And
you for jumping in.
if there's any useful information to add on the protocol within the city when we write grants, is
a great-
staff person do that? Do we have a grant writing consultant, or is it the director level staff from that relevant department? If you could share that as well.
And I can, if you have a minute, I can
Yes.
speak to it right now. Grants are dealt with differently by each department. Mostly we have staff within each of the departments that do that, depending on the type of grant that it is. Saw something today from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources where we're going to make a presentation on a grant that we requested for a park improvement. And so Public Works participates, Parks and Rec participates, Police Department writes lots of grants. Chief Cook is here and can speak to, I think, what the department has done over time, fire department. So we generally don't have a need for a quote-unquote grants consultant because the individual departments have the resources within their departments to do that.
Perfect. And additionally, it might be helpful, so we don't have to keep revisiting this, if there is any language on what the clerk has authority to do with his budget. I understand we give him a budget and he has a credit card, and we kind of reconcile that at the end of the year. If there's any information you can share on that, so that we're clear.
Again, Madam Chair, members of the committee, the council allocates budget. The clerk spends that budget as he sees fit. It's really up. I have no role. The city staff has no role in managing that. I sign off on the credit card expenditures to make sure that there's proper documentation, as I do for other department directors. But beyond that, it's really the clerk's judgment based on the budget that's allocated by the city council.
Great. Thank you. Alderman Braithwaite,
I think you've addressed it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
any further?
I agree.
What'd you say?
I would like to talk to them.
Director Stoneback?
I found out what the expense was. So the overall bike rack order was in the amount of $8,104.10, and a previous bill had already been processed, but one piece was delivered late, and we're only being invoiced for that one piece at the cost of $81.06. So it's only one piece of the entire order that came late, and that is what's shown on the current bills list. I don't know the piece. I don't know.
Maybe we should find out.
Thank you for the additional information. Is there any further discussion? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So we're adjourned. Thank you.